Welcome, Lynda, to the show. It is so great to have you on here. Thank you for being here.
I'm just delighted, Elizabeth.
Great. So I like to start my episodes with a rapid fire five, and that's what I call it, just to have a little bit of fun for my audience to get to know you a little bit better. How does that sound?
That sounds great. I love it.
Great. It's going to be easy and painless, I promise.
Uh,
So the first question is, where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little farming town called Lincoln, Illinois.
Oh, nice. I'm from Illinois too, from the city though.
Where we're
But
at.
yeah, nice.
Well,
And then,
Lincoln is about halfway between Chicago and St. Louis.
okay, I know exactly where that's at. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly that, but I know the yeah, exactly. And now where do you live?
I live in northern Vermont, about an hour south of Montreal in St. Albans, Vermont.
Wow. And the scenery behind you says it all. So we're all moving there.
It is so gorgeous.
So the third question is, who are your two top mentors?
I'd say Jane Goodall is my top mentor, and hmm, Calder. There's an artist called Calder who does these very strange motion-filled art pieces that that rely on balance. So Calder reminds me about balance, and Jane Goodall reminds me about grace.
Wow. I know Jane. I know of her. So her works is like just beautiful. And then
Yeah,
that's an awesome artist. I never really saw
yeah,
anything like that.
yeah. He makes what I was kind of searching for a better word than mobile. You know what? Then we had got kids that we when we were kids we got mobiles. There are things that are
Oh,
cornered.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
he makes these enormous like room
Life
size.
size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and beautiful works of art that also are in constant motion because of the way they're mobiles. And
Yeah.
then there's the whole balance thing that reminds me how important that is.
That's beautiful. It's great. So next question is, what are you most passionate about?
Mm. I am most passionate about spreading the word that it is still an amazing world.
That we need. We definitely
Yeah.
need to hear that. And we're going to talk about it all throughout this episode. So, but last but certainly not least is what is your superpower?
Mm. Curiosity.
Mm, great.
Definitely my curiosity. I have learned that every time a little bit of contempt rises up in me, if I switch that over to curiosity, I can connect with anyone, and I can solve sort of any angst that I may be feeling and maybe not letting the other person know about. Boy, we can go off together in a lovely way if I can change contempt to curiosity. So curiosity is my superpower for sure.
That's beautiful. Yeah. What a way to live. Like, see yourself through all of that. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Great. So now that we got a little, a taste of you, I
Uh-huh.
would like to kind of go a little deeper. So I want to know more about your background and your story.
Mhm. So Elizabeth, what I'm gonna this little journey I'm gonna take you on now, I really want um to help others as I say my story, think about their story. Because what I'm seeing in the world with ever widening circles and the conspiracy of goodness that we're pointing to is that so many people are looking for their calling. So many people are um, know that they are built to contribute something very unique to the world, and they are starting this next climb, or they are seeing that they have a next climb. And my story is all about next climbs. I grew up in a little farming town in Illinois, and I didn't know very much about the wider world at all. I grew up in a family that was very respectful of the wider world. Every single horizontal surface in the house I grew up in was covered with National Geographic magazine. My
Nice.
parents were world travelers, and they didn't take us, but they used those National Geographics to demonstrate the world was a beautiful place. And then they had their own stories of generosity and all that they encountered. But that's all I knew of the wider world. This was seriously small town America. And then the strangest thing happened. I was my childhood sweetheart. I'm still married. Our anniversary, 40-year anniversary.
Nice. Congratulations.
Well, we met when we were 14. And that,
Wow.
yes, and we started this
Nice.
journey together that's just been kind of unusual. He became one of the top 20 basketball players in the world. He was what's called a McDonald's All-American, which you wind up on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine and so forth. And so he became the captain at the Cadillac of all basketball programs, which was Kentucky. He was the captain, and he was drafted by the Bulls. And we ended up having a life in Europe in professional basketball, and that got those two kids out of the cornfield and into an entirely different
Yeah.
universe. We eventually became Irish citizens, so we carry both passports, and our kids have grown up in all over the world. They've slept on plywood in Tibet and gotten lost in the Andes with us. We almost slept under a car one night. They've played at our feet in the IRA headquarters in Belfast. And through it all, what we learned was that human beings are all alike. We all want the same exact things. We want to know where our next meal is coming from. We want a brighter future for our children. We want to go to bed at night and know that we're going to wake up again safely. So our experience in the wider world taught us about a love of humanity and what we all have in common. Now, my husband and I became dentists, both of us. And that taught us an even deeper commonality, because you can imagine with dentists, you might say, wait,
How
how did a dentist become a global positive media mogul? That's what they called me at the last TEDx conference I did, global positive media mogul. So dentistry, when you think about it, every single person my husband and I see each day, 30 people a day, are as fearful as can be. I mean, this is a very intimate, fearful moment that I'm sharing with many, many people all day long. And I have to get people's trust, and we have to go through something together that's hard.
Yeah.
And I did that so much that I understood a different level of connection to others after doing it for many years. And how that leads to what I'm doing with Ever Widening Circles is that I started noticing in 2012, 13, 14, that my patients were starting to have a lot of fear about the future. We think it's bad now, but even 2010, 11, 12, things were going downhill bad. And people I'd known as chipper their whole lives were having a lot of fear about what was going to happen next. And one day I got an email from a young patient who I'd known since he was a toddler, and he was in the darkest moment of his life. And he was writing me from a very bleak place in the world where he'd landed after signing up for the army, a way he thought he could make the world a better place. And in that email, he talked about things we're all saying now. He was like, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. Nothing matters. I can't do anything about it. Just there's no way. It's too dark. And I tell you, I had spent my whole professional life finding something to celebrate with every patient, which is probably why he thought of me when he was in a dark moment. But it was a punch in the gut. I had noticed this happening with patients, but this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I went on this wild search of the internet for some place where I could send him to get word of insight and innovation, that the world is actually much better than the one you see around you, with no politics and no ads. Those are my two qualifiers. I searched for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There was no place for word of goodness and progress, like real stuff, not puppies in mailboxes, but real signs of progress. So one day I snapped and I said, that's it. I'm going to write 1 article a day on anything under the sun to prove it's still an amazing world. And March 15th, I started that journey.
Wow.
And moral of the story for anybody who's listening here, and you've got a podcast about health and goodness and well-being and all that, is that, if you've kind of got the sneaking suspicion that there's something that you're going to discover, uh, be prepared for it to come in a strange way. And I certainly never thought I'd be sitting here today doing what I'm doing after an email from a 19-year-old boy. But this is the way we're moved from time to time to do what we've always been meant to do. And so that's the journey. My daughter joined me in 2015. She graduated from Harvard, and she brought all that level of excellence to it. So we really stepped up, and we went from passion project to a real global force. And it's just grown. We have 5 platforms now. We have an education site where people can turn their kids loose. We have a podcast. I have a podcast of my own called the Conspiracy of Goodness podcast, where I talk to all these thought leaders we write about. And we just launched a social media network for people who want to just leave all the mean people behind and find people that are like-minded that want a better world. So it's a place for people who are learners, doers, or helpers to connect with each other and make the world a better place. That's called the Conspiracy of Goodness Network. Nice. So that's a story. It's a wide arc. And I think for other people, the message that I like to leave people with when I tell that story is that whatever you're doing now, it is exactly what you need to be doing to have the experience you need to do whatever's next. Yeah. I don't feel like my time was wasted at all being a dentist for 25 years. It informed my heart. It informed my mind about how the human mind works in a state of fear, which is what we've got on the news and social media now. And I can navigate that in my Ever Widening Circles endeavor much, much more thoughtfully than if I hadn't spent 25 years in all those other places.
Wow, that's beautiful. And what you said, what we're doing today is a lesson. What we're doing today is not a lot of times, and me personally. So I was in a position or a job that I was not happy with, and I was working on getting into health and wellness throughout. There was a part of me that was just like, oh, I hate going to work. I can't stand this. This isn't my, path and my passion, and all that. But at the same time, when my passion kind of oozed out of me, so to speak, the people at my job saw that, and they took advantage. I don't want to say took advantage, but they let me volunteer at the position, at the job, at the corporation, what I really love to do.
Yeah.
So it was as if like, okay, well, I'm here for a reason. Because knowing I was able to do, I was mainly like a wellness coordinator. So I brought in, like outside, vendors and whatnot, challenges, all that good stuff. So it kind of opened up my eyes, and what you do today will lead you to your tomorrow. So you just have to understand that it's not like it's all doom and gloom what you're doing and you can't get out. It's setting you up for what's to come. And when it comes, celebrate it, celebrate it, because it's like, and then keep going, it's not like, it's not just one thing, it's keep going. It's kind of, their path is always leading you to something better.
Absolutely.
So I love that. And I really, really want to hone in on that, because I think that people should know that you're not just stuck in something. You have a choice, but you're also have to see it in a different light,
Yeah, I always encourage people to think of so there's 3 kinds of people my story tends to resonate with. My story resonates with young people coming right out of college who don't want to work for the man. Mm-hmm. And that man thing is just an expression. It just means, just work for some company that you don't really identify with, and you're just putting in your 9 to 5.
Right.
So there's kids coming right out of college just want to skip that whole thing. There's so many millennials and Gen Zers who want to make a difference from day one. So the next climb for them is definitely a next climb. It's out of the educational washing machine into, make a difference.
Right.
And there's the person who's been working away for 10, 15 years in a job that they don't feel much connection to. And they don't feel a sense of, it doesn't make them soar.
Right.
Send them soaring. And then there's people like me who've done a good job, worked away, done the right thing, made a difference in people's lives. I made a big difference in people's lives as a dentist. But you just know that there is this other thing that you're built for. And for many years, I told myself, I must be built to just be a really good mother. That's what I said. That must be my calling. I'm doing this great professional thing, so I'm teaching my kids responsibility and hard work and how you serve others. And maybe that's what I was built for, was just to raise 3 kids that not just that is very important, to raise 3 kids who would even take what I could demonstrate and make it even better. And then and then that day came with that email where I realized that somebody's got to do something about that. I'd said that a dozen times. And that day I knew it was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of brought you to that this website that I embarked on. Your website, I think, is completely fascinating. I couldn't it. Basically, it's like going down a rabbit hole. You could be on that thing all day, and it's captivating. So I want you to kind of explain more about Ever Widening Circles. What is this about?
Yeah. So it's always been the same in that when I started Ever Widening Circles, I said, because of my experience with Cameron and realizing that there was nobody doing things without an agenda, we were going to have 3 promises. The first promise is that there'd never be any politics, because my whole goal is to keep everyone under the tent together and point out that there are countless things we can all celebrate as signs of goodness and progress. The part that we can't agree upon is such a tiny slice of the whole. So we promised no politics, no ads, because I've discovered the way the internet's built, ads haven't created an agenda. It just there's you go to some place that you read things on and notice this thing called sponsored posts. There's going to be an agenda there. It just is. So we just said, and then you just have the constant chaos of ads on some websites that call themselves good news websites. And I just was never going to have no ads, no politics, and no outside links that go to someplace else with craziness. So on our website at Ever Widening Circles, ever since the beginning, you can click on any of the little underlined things ever in an article, and it's only going to take you to places that you can feel really good about. 92% of them are inside our website, and the 8% that take you off the website are going to be to places like the Smithsonian website or NASA website, where wonder is just billowing out if you take your time to look at those places. Okay. So what you'll find at Ever Widening Circles is that we publish Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we are publishing an article that proves it is still an amazing world. That is the thesis right from the get-go. That there are plenty of things that we could be writing about, but that's somebody else's vision and mission. Right. What we're good at is demonstrating that it is still an amazing world. So there may be an article about we published an article about a podcast interview I did the other day on the Conspiracy of Goodness podcast with this amazing man who has been working with homeless children in Vermont for 40 years. And he is so funny and so excited about what's possible. It's not like any interview you will ever hear about homeless children. He makes you believe that you can change the world for others with the smallest act. He makes you and I believe that by his enthusiasm for even how small things can affect others. That's the real takeaway there. But incredible. Or we might write an article about Damien Mander. He's this incredible thought leader in the world who's discovered that single mothers make the best game wardens in Africa. It's
Oh,
an absolutely extraordinary discovery. It's probably one of the most important leaps in conservation in 100 years.
oh.
You want to hear something, if you're interested in conservation and you care about that, go look up. Just put single mothers in the search box at
Mhm.
Ever Widening Circles, and you're going to stumble upon this amazing thought leader. We curate TED Talks. We curate the very, very, very best TED Talks. One of my very favorite is a TED Talk called "What Fear Can Teach Us."
Mm.
Oh my gosh! Nobody's going to click on that because the title. Who wants to know more about fear?
Right.
Oh, there is an amazing story, and she is a writer. She wrote a best-selling book. The person who gives us TED Talk, Karen. I can't think of what her last name is. Anyway, she leads you through a story about the whaling ship, the Essex, that is the whaling ship that that Moby Dick was written about, and what happened to the sailors once they all wound up into the water. And she leads you through the story, and that's what she is, a novelist. So it's fabulous, and teaches you what happened to the 3 lifeboats and how it relates to our lives.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
We might write about wonders in nature, Elizabeth. Here's
Yeah.
my favorite there's so many articles about wonders in nature. So my little favorite animal in the whole world now, from this article, is called the Bobtail Squid.
Ooh.
So the Bobtail Squid is this little squid that lives in the ocean, solitary, and at night they come up from the depths to hunt. But they're a tasty morsel, and they've developed a symbiotic relationship with a bacteria that glows in the dark. So
Wow.
what happens is, as they rise up from the depths, their body balloons into a perfect circle full of this bacteria that's glowing white. And when a predator fish looks up, it thinks it's seeing the reflection of a full moon.
Oh my gosh.
So
That
it
is
doesn't.
crazy.
Yes. Well, there are thousands of things in nature like that.
Yeah.
So we'll write the odd article about wonders in nature. We will write about, we've got a great article that makes you appreciate something like bull riding, which I had no appreciation for. But there's a beautiful video on that and a beautiful article. Even if you don't like bull riding, this is the one major thing at our website. I would, and you probably did this if you went there, I would encourage you to click on things randomly. We even
I
have a
did.
subscribe button.
Yeah, I
Did you
did.
like,
Yeah, because I was just like, I mean, it takes you just in, like you said, wild different places. And it's awe-inspiring. Some of the things that I read, I was just like, wow, and that's what we need more of, there's a whole life out there. And
yes,
even inside us, there's a whole life. And so
right.
having it, reading about it and exploring. I mean, this is something you can do instead of going on Facebook and, being mean to somebody else, right? So this is something that we need to have more often. So
Yeah, this is a view of reality that is
mm,
more closer to real.
yeah.
So I like to talk about the way the internet interacts with our brain, if you will.
Yeah, no, please do.
Okay, so it's easy to think the world's going to heck in a handbasket. It's easy to think it's hopeless because what's rising to the top of the internet and what's rising to the news and repeated over and over and over
Mm,
are signs of danger and disorder. Okay, so we have this part of our brain called the amygdala.
mhm.
And the amygdala is on 24/7 on autopilot all the time, even when we sleep, um, looking for signs of danger and disorder in the world around us. This part of our brain is one of the oldest parts of the brain. In fact, some people call it the lizard brain because it's so old. And it's what kept us alive 200,000 years ago. It's the part of our brain 200,000 years ago that would hear a twig snap and we would know to run because we would know that meant saber-tooth tiger
Mhm.
near. Run.
Yeah.
Okay. So we still have this part of our brain on 24/7, looking for signs of danger and disorder when we're on autopilot. And this is what's happened with the internet. The internet was invented, let's give it a rough date, 1993. There were 300 websites on the whole of the internet. And by 2003, there were 40 million. So in that 10 years, the internet expanded like a supernova, and an organizing principle had to evolve out of nowhere. No one could control it. And what became the organizing on the internet principle is what gets our attention. The internet is an attention economy. Nothing else matters there but capturing and holding our attention. So it has nothing to do with merit. People are doing great work in the world. They're doing the most extraordinary things. We will never hear about them if we wait for it to rise to the top of the internet, because the internet is an attention economy, and not enough of us realize the game being played with our emotions there. So there are 4 shifts that people can make. That's what I'm being asked to speak about most of the time these days, is the 4 shifts so that we can see a different world on the screens in our life. And I'll share those with your audience. You don't have to grab a pen right now, because we think that these 4 shifts are so important as like the first aha moment any of us have about the internet after 30 years. We need to go, whoa, wait a minute. This thing needs a reimagine. Here's the 4 shifts you can make to see an entirely different world on the screens in your life. Like, I don't see what other people tell me is on social media.
Yeah.
I don't see the craziness, because I follow these 4 shifts 100% of the time. So here they are. And there's a website at 4shifts.com. You can spell it out or the number. We made it super easy. There's a 10-minute read there that you can download for free, pass it to everyone you know, because our goal is to get 25% of the people on the planet to know about the 4 shifts, and then the internet would change overnight.
Interesting.
So here's how they go. The first thing you need to do to see a different world is pause. Pause before you click on anything, because someone is counting every click you make. Your click is a vote. It's essentially a vote for more of whatever you give your attention to. So even if what you just clicked on is leaving you horrified, super sad, or frightened, you're going to get more of that. That's the way the internet works. What you click on, either an algorithm or a person or both, is counting, and you get served more of that. So that's the first shift, just to realize that you have all the power. If you can pause, you can look at that thing and say, do we need more of this?
Yeah.
And you can do the next shift, the second shift, ignore more. So I tell people a really quick little practical tip is never to click out of ABC mode: anger, boredom, or morbid curiosity. If you never click on anything out of anger, boredom, or curiosity, you are going to ignore about 80% of what you used to click on. And your algorithms are going to go, what, wait, she's not clicking on meanness. She's not clicking on some crazy person shouting on social media. She's not clicking on that horrible story. And it will look for what to serve you next. So that's when the third shift comes in. Seek signs of goodness and progress. So if you pause, ignore more, and seek signs of goodness and progress, the screens in your life are going to change fundamentally. And by these signs of goodness and progress, what I'm saying there is, go to the internet never, ever on autopilot anymore. Go there with purpose. You know, before there was an internet, we lived our lives.
Yeah, crazy, wild.
Woo! Big news. We spent time with our kids. I had an innovator the other day tell me that he suddenly knew he had to change when he found himself after a 12-hour day at home in the laundry room scrolling social media instead of being with his 4-year-old and 6-year-old.
Yeah.
He had this moment where he said, "Oh my gosh, I'm as addicted as everyone else." He thought he was above it because he was in the tech world.
Yeah.
So seek signs of goodness and progress. And by what I mean there is go to the internet with purpose. If you want to see your sister's new baby on Facebook, then go there, see the new baby, write something nice, and leave.
Yeah.
Don't get caught. You know how we all do. We go on for just a quick thing and then we're there 45 minutes later. That is the internet messing with your amygdala. It's winning when that happens. So, and seek signs of goodness can be like, go to the Ever Widening Circle site twice a day when you wake up in the morning and before you go to bed, and make sure your last thought and your first thought in the morning is about possibility.
Yeah.
It's about all the wonder that's in the world. You can go to there's a great place called TechCrunch.
Yes, I've been on there. Yeah.
Yeah, they always have stuff that you go, what?
Yeah.
And they're reputable, they're good.
Yeah.
Or places like the NASA site or the Smithsonian, or gosh, what museums are doing these days. They've all got virtual tours. They've got so much in-depth stuff. You can find what makes your heart soar at almost any museum, and it's all for free now. It's all we'll see you there. So anyway, seek signs of goodness progress. And the fourth shift is share it. Yes. Share signs of goodness and progress, because content creators are watching very carefully what we share. A like doesn't mean anything anymore. So a good example of this is I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see my neighbor to my office. He's 10 and he's raised $470 for the local Humane Society.
Nice.
Now I'm looking at Facebook and I can go like, or I can move my finger over about an inch and hit share. Yeah. Because what I've learned from my little journey is that a like means nothing. It'll go out to your besties and that's it. But a share can start a wave that can build and change the future for many. You know, that 10-year-old story will inspire the 15-year-old, and that 10-year-old story will inspire maybe an adult to go volunteer to be a board member for the Humane Society and make a difference. That 10-year-old story might make me go, oh, I've been meaning to send them a donation. I'm going to write them a check. I mean, what we share has the potential to change the future, no doubt about it, the way the internet works. So those are the 4 shifts: pause, ignore more, seek signs of goodness, and share it. And if just 25% of us knew those 4 shifts and used them, and where I'm coming up with that number. Have you ever heard that number, Elizabeth, the 25% number?
No, explain.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be all of us. This is, I don't know. I could be a rather negative person. I'm not Pollyanna or rose-colored glasses at all. I would be like, it's too big. I can't get 80% of the people to pause, ignore, seek signs of goodness, and share. And one day I was exactly in that mode. I was just like, never gonna get this word out. And then, I don't know, serendipity, call it what you like. I'm scrolling through LinkedIn, which I never do. And there was this study done by the World Economic Forum. They hired the University of London and the University of Pennsylvania to do a study to see what is the percentage of people it takes to take something from the periphery of society and make it just part of what's done. Pet rocks, or take any example you like. It was once on the fringes and then it became just totally normal. Anything. Tattoos were once frowned upon and now it's completely normal in society. Throwing garbage out the car window used to be what you did, and then it became so taboo, right? Okay, so this 25% number works like this. They found out that it only takes 25% of a group to buy into this new thing, and then neuroscience, behavior science, and the way we want to align with others kicks in, and it takes it the way. So I don't know about you, but 25% of the people I know want a better world.
Yeah.
25% of the people I know want to see that world on the screens in their life.
Yeah.
So, so we started shooting for this number. If we could get just 25% of people to know that Ever Winding Circles exists, to share the 4 shifts, we would learn that we have all the power on the internet. So we think of it as this negative source in our lives that we feel kind of victimized by. But actually, we have all the power there if we start exercising the fact that our click is a vote. Think of every click you make as a vote, and you will start to see a new world on the screens in your life.
That's great. This is great information. And, I am definitely sharing all of this information because I think we need to get, yes, 25%, definitely. But
It's
I
so doable.
also think we can do 30. Let's, you know, I get it. We can't have everybody in the world think the same because, it's not going to happen, first of all. But if we can have more people, like you said, pause, and share, yeah, and ignore more, seek good signs of goodness and progress, and then share. If we can do that every day, I mean, there's just, and it's funny because everybody talks about love and everybody talks about peace, but nobody's doing it. Everybody's still, even the people who are talking about it are still, in the being victim, yeah, by the internet, and they're not aware of it. And that's the thing.
So let me share a little practical tip that relates to that. Your observation is dead on. So when you go to the internet, let's just pick on social media for a second.
Yeah,
When you
please.
go to social media, um, and you see a nasty post, pick something that offends your dignity in the worst way. You see this nasty, somebody says something really just outrageous, and you just can't stand for it. So your impulse is to go there and type some thing that's just a manifesto, and you're just going to put them in their place.
Yeah.
Okay. With what I just told you, you just gave them a vote by clicking on them.
Mm-hmm.
But what you also did was give them something that I call link juice, because you know what's going to happen. Your comment is going to attract about 100 people that thought what they did was just right, fine, and they're all going to respond to your post and put you in your place. So now you not only gave them 1 vote, but you gave them 101 votes. And this is how the craziness rises to the top of the internet, is we all become multipliers for it unwittingly. You might have the best intention in the world, but now that you know the game being played with your emotions, after this conversation, you're going to go, oh no, I know what that's clickbait. They're just trying to get me to respond to that. And you're going to go, nope, and ignore it. And those echo chambers, they do not thrive unless we dive in and add link juice to it. Those echo chambers die out really, really quick if they don't have unwitting people like us to go amplify things.
Yeah.
So that's the practical tip is this. When you see something that you just can't bear on the internet, pause and ask yourself, do we need more of this? This is the question. Do we need more of this? Now, even if it's your side of the politics and you want to go, yeah, that we're winning or whatever.
Yeah. Who's winning?
If it's hateful,
Yeah.
if it's thoughtless, if it's not helpful, if it's ratcheting up the drama, even if it's your team, don't give it the link juice, because that's how it just keeps rolling on. More and more chaos every day, more and more negative noise. Who we want to support, who we want to click on, Elizabeth, I think, is the people who are thoughtful and helpful. Because I can hear something from the other side, something very hard for me to hear. If I can tell they're doing it thoughtfully and in the interest of being helpful. Maybe they don't change my mind a scintilla, or maybe they do. Maybe they just expand what I think is possible. But we need to start giving our attention to thoughtful people, the people who've actually taken the time to have a measured voice, that are inviting others to figure this out. How do we figure this out together?
Mm.
The people that are just shouting, even if they're on our team, I don't think it's helpful.
Yeah. I agree. Because you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
You think that you're standing up for yourself, or you're, spreading the word, so to speak. But it's more or less like, no, you're basically spiraling the issue.
Adding to it.
You're adding to it. You're putting more, fuel to the fire. Whereas if you just backed off and you just, something else, maybe like today, I just saw, again, I don't go on Facebook a lot anymore, just because of that noise.
Yeah.
I go on, to be in groups and, all of that stuff, and community. And I don't, post anything negative. But there was a lady in one of the groups who posted about this kind gentleman at Target, who, I guess, somebody was in the checkout line and said, "Oh no, I forgot my wallet in the car," and it was like a $50, $50 groceries and all of that. So the guy, I don't know if he worked there, if he was just there, but he said, "I got this for you," and he paid for this guy's groceries or whatever he bought.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Just pay it forward." The guy told him, "Just pay it forward." So the lady who was in this group took a picture of this. She's like, there are nice people in this world, kind people in this world. So we need more of that. We need more, like, and the people think that if you're doing good, if you're doing, charity, or, you're volunteering for an organization, you shouldn't say it. You shouldn't say that you're, volunteering, or if you're, giving somebody, money for charity, because then you're, quote unquote, like, you're boasting or something. But I say, do it more. Tell people that you are helping others, because if they see that, they'll be like, "Oh, maybe that's an organization I want to, get into," or maybe it's, like, maybe a connection or something. But I think we need more of that in the world, rather than whatever else is going on. So
Yeah. I mean, this is what you're observing is what I like to say, that goodness can be viral too.
yeah.
You got to remember how this virus spread, with invisible connections that we were not aware of. And goodness is like that too. You never know whose life you might change by just letting them have a parking spot. Or I was thinking about this process one day, and I was driving down our main street. At the stoplight, there was a kid sitting in a lawn chair with a giant sign that says, "COVID is a fake."
Mm.
Okay. So, just giant. And I just thought, oh, rascal, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just susceptible as negative thoughts as anybody.
Yeah.
And I had contempt in my heart for this kid, because I've had patients that have died. My sister-in-law, she had breast cancer surgery pushed back a month and a half because she got COVID.
Mm.
And we don't know if that will change her life or not. So no,
Wow.
not a fake.
Yeah.
And so I had contempt in my heart, but I paused. And you know what I did? I pulled over and I got a lawn chair out of the back of my car, and I went and sat down with them. And I said, "Gosh, this takes some courage.
Mm.
Tell me why you're here." And I got curious instead of contempt. And I sat there with that kid for about an hour, and I listened to his life story, and it all made perfect sense in the end.
Yeah.
And I made him feel heard. And I didn't feel like I never told him about my sister-in-law. I never told him about the patients I've known who've died.
Yeah.
None of that. I wasn't sitting down to disingenuously hear his story and then tell him how to think.
Yeah.
I just let it be. I just was present for him. I could tell as the time evolved, I don't think anybody had ever really seen him.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody had ever been truly present with his version of reality or the things that he's experienced in life. He had some real trauma that he shared with me by the end.
Yeah.
And so I just thanked him for his time, and I told him I thought he was courageous for speaking up for what he thought was right, and I encouraged him to seek signs of goodness and progress. That was the one thing that he was not doing at all. He was seeking scandal. He was seeking signs of subterfuge from others. He was seeking the worst intention in humanity. And that's the only thing I shared with him. I didn't tell him who I was or what I did. I just said, hey, I'm 40 years down the pike from you, and what I've noticed is that when I feel this motivated, like you do, about anything, I seek signs of goodness and progress, and I usually find that too. That's it.
Yeah.
And we can do that with each other, and we can have hard conversations, and we can listen to each other, but we can't do it by just tapping away the first thoughts in our mind on the internet.
Yeah.
That is
We
not
have to be heard, like literally heard, like talking it out and heard about our situation, and I always say that even for homeless, people, like there are times that I want to go up to a homeless person and just ask, who, like, how are you doing? How did how did you get here? What is your,
story.
what's your story? Like, who are you? And I think that's what we need more, is to be heard. We're all wanting to be heard.
Yeah. And that would, if you go from that angle, then that would explain a lot of the shouting, right? Because isn't shouting a response to not feeling heard?
Well, that too, but I'm just saying, like, if it's a one-on-one, yeah.
Yes, but I mean, you're spot on with that. That's why we've got people shouting.
Yeah.
Whether it's in real life or in our online life or whatever, is because they think they can't be heard any other way.
Yeah.
So, we have to answer this question of how we're heard and how we can help each other and how we can share our stories and probably learn from each other. We got really curious about asking thought leaders, because I talk to thought leaders on the Conspiracy of Goodness podcast all the time, these people who are actually crazily doing these amazing things in the world.
Yeah.
I talk to them because they all have this version of what's possible that you and I can't see yet. And then my podcast is about them telling us what we need to know to be able to see the version of possibility that they see. So it's all very positive. And what we started to notice was all these thought leaders were up against the same problem, is that there are these little voices of light in absolute darkness.
Yeah.
There's just so much darkness out there, and we're all just shouting into it that we're here. Here's the solution to this problem. Here's the solution to that problem. And so we need to come together. So as far as health and wellness goes, I would say what I've learned from my life, my online life, and what I now teach people is that find like-minded people. Find like-minded people that have the same heart for something that you do, and you will feel like you're 1,000 feet tall by being around people who leave you elevated. We need to all start looking at our online lives and saying, that one makes me feel terrible. That one makes me feel like not enough. That one makes me feel fat. That one makes me feel dumb. And these people that we're following, these influencers, we need to pay attention to that weird feeling that some of them get us, that we're not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to unfollow.
That's what we need. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you just hit a chord with me. Yes. I literally unfollowed somebody, or at least like I forgot what it was called on Instagram. Kind of like hide or mute. That's what it is, mute. Because every time I was looking at their feed, now noted that this person is, has a great heart and is a nice human being, but it's who and I don't know, it's who I want to be, like strive to be, but I'm feeling like I'm low, I'm feeling like I'm not enough. And so I said, I cannot look at that right now because I am working on getting there. But if I keep seeing that, that is just going to make me feel depressed and make me feel like angry. And, some people can look at that and that'll drive them. It drives me. But if I see it every day in my face that somebody else is having that, it's comparison. And so I say, stop, I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to focus, and then I'll be there.
All right, you have just totally struck upon something that's it's a bolt of light. Yeah. I tell people that to make this your mantra on social media. It's comparison without context.
Yes.
You struck upon it. You said it yourself. It's comparison without context. Remember that what's in my screen right now is just perfect. I can turn it this way and you can see all the crap on the beach. We have a little beach.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but okay.
We got out all our floaties, and every one of them have been pooped on by raccoons and eaten food. And so this is garbage on the beach. So I wasn't letting you see that. No. I was getting you right here, right? This is social media. Yeah. Whatever you are seeing is a constructed, very carefully edited version of that person. Yeah. So it's comparison without context. So this thought leader that turned me on to this, I didn't come up with this myself. It was a podcast that I did with a Julia Parsick is what is her name. She is an influencer in the world of body image. Mm-hmm. She's robust. She's like me. She's just a robust body person. She would have been great in the Ice Age like me. My dad was a physician, a doctor, and one of the last things he said to me on his deathbed was, Lynda, you're going to have to watch your weight. You would have been great in the Ice Age. You're a keeper. Okay. I keep calories really good. So does Julia. So anyway, Julia's whole message is, hey, don't go following these folks that make you feel like you're not enough, that you're not skinny enough, or that you're not, you can't wear the little black dress or whatever it is. Yeah. She just totally turned me on to this notion that we should pay attention to how these people make us feel. Mm. If they make us feel aspirational, make sure, just like you're talking about, that you're aspiring to the right thing. Mm-hmm. Right? If they make us feel aspirational, like, oh, I can get there, I can be like them, that's different than somebody that says, oh, they're doing so much the right thing. What can I learn from them that's good and generous, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's a really nice qualifier for people who need to reorganize the people they follow. And so the Conspiracy of Goodness Network that we created, that's what this thing that we've soft launched it. Our hard launch is in October, but you can join now. It's a network for people who want that feeling of connection and kindred spirit without all the mean people. So we made a little bit of a threshold of participation so that people who just want to drum up the chaos, they can stay over on the other big four. Yeah. But people who want to have an impact on the world, large or small, just helpers, doers, learners, or people that are tackling some giant projects, they're all going to be there. And we're going to create a place that feels like a multiplier for the best qualities that we have, not for the worst.
Nice. And so what is this called again?
It's called the Conspiracy of Goodness Network.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. And when is this going to happen?
Well, it's launched. It's launched now.
Okay.
Yeah. But we're going to have the big launch tied to a summit on in October. It should be just after this podcast comes out.
Nice. Yes, definitely.
We've still on the subject. Yeah, great. Let me get the dates right. Or did you write it down?
I did. I think it's October 10th.
Yes.
And then this episode will release on October 7th. So right there. So people,
Exactly.
listen, when you listen to this, make sure you sign up for the summit
Yeah,
because
it's called the Conspiracy of Goodness Summit.
got it.
And we're going to have 4 speakers that will just blow your mind. Good people who are doing the most extraordinary things in the world, who were ordinary people like all of us,
Yeah.
and found their calling, and are doing 4 different amazing things in the world. And I think that the real benefit to finding a place in the world that matches the world you want to see, the life that you want to live, this is the benefit to finding kindred spirits who are also wanting a better world going forward, is that gosh, we all just look at our conversation. It feels like the moments went by in a flash.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. I can talk to you forever about this. This is
Yeah.
This is something we definitely need in our lives more, and they say you're the, what is it? You're the company of the 5 people that you hang around, right? Or you're judged by the 5 people that you hang around. So
Right.
why not hang around with people who lift you up, who, are positive and, not in the, yeah, just who lift you up. So we need more of that.
And I think we've got to seek it, Elizabeth. I
Yeah.
think that again, that the important thing about the third shift is that we can't be lazy about this. We have to seek others that it's easy to just let whoever wanders into your world, or just your family, or just your whatever, your high school buddies. They might not be a good fit for the kind of beautiful world that you value, that you're they may not send you soaring enough to fill up your own well. So I always remind people to find people and places that fill up their well of good intention and a sense of well-being and all that. That is really, really important, that we make sure our well is getting filled by what we see on the internet or the people that we hang out with. We can't always, if you're listening to this podcast, I would bet that most people that listen to your podcast, Elizabeth, are givers.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
givers and doers.
Yes.
They care about others. They're wanting to they're here listening to this podcast because they want to be their best selves and be ready and have enough energy to help others and stuff. And this is pretty huge. You cannot be just hanging around with folks in a dark well. The problem with living in a dark well is you never know how close you are to the bottom.
Yeah, true.
And so we've got to make sure we seek others that bring us up, that we seek projects and ways to contribute. And if you haven't found your calling yet, just contribute something.
Right. Yeah, just find things that'll make you feel good. That's it. Yeah.
Yes, find things or offer things. Maybe you know how to knit. Go to the old folks home once a week and teach somebody to knit in there.
Yeah.
Let them tell you their stories. I mean, it might not be your calling, but it gets you started in this life of contribution, and then you never know what's going to come your way.
True. Very true. Well, Lynda, this was such a great conversation. I literally, I had all these questions and I only asked one, but this, I could, like I said, go on forever talking about all of this. It is so inspiring and so heartwarming to talk about all of this. So, where can people find you? I want people to kind of get on this now.
Okay, so the first thing you want to do, because this is the way you probably wonder, if we don't have ads, how we pay for Ever Widening Circles.
Yeah.
The way we pay for Ever Widening Circles is through the app. It's $1 a month.
Okay.
We wanted to price it so that people in all over the world could afford it. But what you'll have there is this access to this different version of reality than you would ever see on your own on the internet. So the first place to find me, and my story is there. There's a funny place. If you put Dr. Lynda, you're going to see me with raccoons crawling all over me. And I had a 1-pound baby that lived. She was a micro preemie. There's about that story. There's lots of stories there. But mostly you're going to find what Elizabeth found is a rabbit hole of wonder.
Mm.
If you want more wonder, more things to celebrate in your life, go to Ever Widening Circles. Join us with the app so that whenever you feel like the world is not aligning with the world you want to see around you, you can see the world that actually exists. What we see on the internet is only a slice of reality.
Right.
I do a whole lot of public speaking. You can learn about that at drlynda.com. It's a dr-lynda. I'm a Lynda, Lynda.
Mhm.
dr-lynda.com. And I speak for groups. I've just 2 weeks ago, I gave a big keynote for a giant climate change summit. The next week before that, it was teachers. Before that, it was dentists. Before that, it was a police department.
Mm.
So I love to speak about the things that Elizabeth and I have just spoken about. So I'm available for that. And the main thing I want you to do is remember that you're not alone, and that there are people doing amazing things in the world, and they are coming together at this place that we've created called the Conspiracy of Goodness Network. Now, if that term, conspiracy of goodness, we haven't talked about this, Elizabeth.
No, that was one of the questions, but it kind of, yeah, we're out of time because we got so much into the network. So,
Well, if you want to
yeah.
understand where that phrase comes from, that's a phrase.
Yes.
I have a TEDx talk called Exposing the Conspiracy of Goodness.
Yes.
In the first few minutes, you'll learn the story of the conspiracy of goodness. It's a beautiful story. And the TED talk is only about 11 minutes long, but you'll
I
know.
watched it actually. Yeah, yeah, it was a great TEDx talk. Not one that I'm used to. You know, you're used to seeing them inside in a building and, you know,
Yeah.
on stage. This was really nice. Very very educational. So I'll definitely link that one up to in the show notes. So
yeah, that will give people this sense that they were right to keep going back to the internet.
yeah.
Right to hold out hope for humanity. You'll learn why you had that impulse.
Got it. Well, Lynda, thank you. And before I get to this last question, I want to acknowledge you. I mean, again, we need to clone you 100 times because your message and what you bring into this world is such a light and such a gift that we need more of that. And I know that you're doing, you know, your best to spread the word, and being on these podcasts like mine, I'll definitely spread the word as well.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge you for being who you are and being that light in everybody's world, and shedding that light, saying that it is not doom and gloom out there. There is so much in the world right now that you don't know. That is a positive outlook and a positive thing for you. And again, I'll, you know, shout it from the rooftops. We need more of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're part of the conspiracy of goodness, Elizabeth.
Yeah. Well, we gotta lock arms, and we gotta,
Yeah.
you know, just again spread the word. So yeah. So the last question that I want to ask is, do you have any or a favorite quote or any words of inspiration? I mean, you gave a lot of inspiration today, so I don't know if you can give any more.
Well, you know, one of my very favorite quotes ever that I probably think about almost every day is probably appropriate to end this conversation. There's a very famous book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. No? Yes. That was 1978, sold 60 million copies, and the author subsequently wrote a book called Illusions. And Illusions has this great quote in it that I think about every day. It's called, it goes like this: argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. So this is what we're doing. When we're saying, can't be done, too big, I don't have enough money to make an impact, I don't have enough time, all those things, we are arguing for our limitations. And then they are ours. We own them. Yeah. And all day long, I remind myself to stop telling myself those limiting stories.
Nice.
So get curious, find the version of reality that makes a lot of things possible, and you will live there daily.
Beautiful. Yeah, what words to end this beautiful episode. So thank you, Lynda. This has been wonderful. I'm probably going to have you on again because there is so much that I can talk to you about that we just definitely need to have you on again. So
Okay,
we'll
I'm
chat offline and kind of get that going too. So
okay.
all right.
You're
Thank
all
you,
right.
Lynda. All right.
All right. Have a great day, Elizabeth. You're
You
doing good in
too.
the world.
I will, and you too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.